How's it going, Goomy Gang? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Hope you're enjoying October thus far in spooky season. So a while back, while I didn't have any power, I was able to check my service at one point, and I noticed that they actually went and buffed some of the shotguns in Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer that are Modern Warfare 2 shotguns. And this was a huge surprise because they basically ignored them the whole life cycle. Like they haven't really been touched at all. And now we finally got some actual decent substance of a buff with these shotguns. In particular, it was 5. It was the KV Broadside, the Lockwood 300, Expedite 12, and the 2 Brysons. And finally, they got some love. So I'm going to talk about what changes happened, how good they are. Is it enough? Was it really enough for these shotguns? And just share my overall thoughts and all that stuff. So let's just go ahead and get into it. And of course, timestamps will be in the description below if you want to hop to a certain part of the video where I talk about a certain shotgun. So just going down the list, we'll talk about the KV Broadside first. For this one, they increased the maximum damage range, and they also increased its near medium range from about 3.3 to 4.3 meters. So overall, is this going to change the gun that much? Not really. All it really changed was like your 2-shot kill range. It's still going to be like, okay, it's not an amazing shotgun. It's fun, it works, it's not super oppressive, so that's good because it's a spammy shotgun, but it's also not really that great either. So I think it's okay. This is probably in a good spot. If anything, I would rather just see it get buffs to its like aim down sight speed, since a lot of attachments really hurt it. That would be really nice to see. Otherwise, I think it's totally okay. It doesn't need to be any stronger or weaker. So yeah, not much else to say about this. It's not really going to change much though, so not really any reason to really use it. Next up, we have the Lockwood 300, which is the double barrel, and for this one, they just increased the maximum damage range from 1.8 to 3.3 meters, which is a decently substantial buff. I mean, that's 86%. That's really good for a shotgun, but the problem is that's pretty much it. They haven't done anything else. And so you might be thinking, okay, well, is it still good or has it ever been good? No, it hasn't, because in order for you to get a one-shot kill out past 3.3 meters in its next range, which is like about 7 to 8, you have to hit a headshot. Like, you literally have to hit a headshot, and you have to aim down sights. Because of the damage cap when you're hip firing versus aim down sights, you have to basically hit a headshot while you're aiming down sights with this thing to get a one-shot kill. It's ridiculously bad. This thing, it did get a buff, but it's still garbage. Like, just don't bother using this. Unless, of course, you're talking about the dual trigger. That's the only time I would ever recommend rocking this thing, is if you rock it with like the Doom bundle or you have the dual trigger equipped. Then it's actually a decent one-shot kill, but of course, it's slow and it doesn't really have the range to beat a lot of the other shotguns. You might as well use those, but it's still fun. It's still cool. It's just that this buff didn't really change a darn thing, which is upsetting to see because this gun really needs some love. Next on the list, we have the Expedite 12, and this basically got a max damage range increase and a near medium damage range increase. So this basically boosts your one-shot kill potential out to that 5.1 meters, which is nice considering this is sort of a hybrid between a spammy and a heavy hitter shotgun. But overall, I found it still kind of awkward to use. The one-shot kill range is nice. It's just that's super, super close. And because it's a little bit awkward using it, it's got kind of a bit of recoil when you shoot it, no matter if it's tac stance or aim down sights. It's still a little awkward. Now, it was a good buff overall. I think this is definitely much needed, but I would honestly like to see even better one-shot kill range. I just don't think this one's really that great anyway. I think that this one just kind of falls short in a lot of ways, and it's really awkward to use, but this is still a good buff. I would say this is definitely like a good honorable mention for these buffs because it's still good, and I'm really happy to see that they did pay attention to it. Next up, we have the Bryson 800, and in my opinion, this was the star of the show because it got the most noticeable buff to it, where it's actually pretty dang good. Now, they increased the near medium damage from 34 to 42. That's basically its one-shot kill range. So now it's going to be more consistent because of this. So it is nice to see that they increased this. Then they increased the medium damage from 25 to 30 per pellet. So that basically is like the 2-shot range. So it's going to be a little bit more consistent, does a little bit more damage. Not super crazy, but that is a nice change to see regardless. They increased the maximum damage range from 3.3 to 4.1, which is good because that's like your most forgiving range because you don't really need to hit many pellets to get a one-shot kill, so that it's nice. And then they increased its one-shot kill range, or its near medium damage range, from 5.8 to 7.1. Keep in mind, that's without a barrel. Now, if you decide to slap on a big barrel like the rifled barrel for this thing, your one-shot kill range is out to about the 8.9 meter mark, which in all honesty is pretty good. That's pretty close to the Lockwood 300 dual trigger. That's close to the Lockwood 300's one-shot kill range with its big barrel. So it's got a decent buff now. And you got to remember, this thing shoots 8 pellets. So the Lockwood 680 only shoots 6. Now the Reclaimer does shoot more than that with a barrel equipped, but it's also kind of a different one because the different damage and hip fire versus aim down sights, and you have to be hitting chest at really far ranges. So this is actually a pretty decent pump action now, and I definitely recommend trying it out if you haven't at this point, because now I think it's worth it. And it's probably the best Modern Warfare 2 shotgun in the game, I would say. It's definitely very solid, even though it's a bit unforgiving. It feels great. It's got a solid one-shot range. It's got a pretty consistent two-shot, so I definitely recommend giving this one a try. Then we have the Bryson 890. It got an increase to its near medium damage from 34 to 42, which is nice. It's not really going to change anything, but it's going to feel a little bit more consistent, which is good. And then also they increased the maximum damage range from 3.1 to 3.8. Now this is good to see, but it's still not enough in my opinion. It still kind of falls short because its one-shot range wasn't really touched. It's only out to about 5 meters on the dot, which actually the Expedite is better than at this point, so that's kind of sad to see. But it is still nice. It's always been a fun shotgun. It's just really hard to use because it just has no range whatsoever. I would like to see them buff up that one-shot kill range a little bit, at least to be somewhere close to the Bryson 800 and the Lockwood 680, but we got what we got, and that's pretty much all the changes I have to go over. Now the big question is this enough? For all these shotguns that got buffed, for all the shotguns in the game, is this enough? And of course, you're probably going to know this answer right off the bat. No, this was not enough. Of course, the Bryson 800 is a gold star here. It's a pretty good one now, but the other shotguns absolutely need more love. And I'm not just talking damage and ranges, which is really the only thing they're touching. Some of them just need better aim down sight speed, better handling, better mobility, things like that. Maybe a fire rate increase, maybe like a new ammo type or something. But generally, a lot of these shotguns are still kind of mediocre and just not worth using. The Lockwood 300 is in desperate need of a buff, and they haven't even bothered to touch like slug rounds, which in my opinion is probably my biggest complaint, because you have slug rounds that are just pretty much useless on so many different shotguns. You have it on the Lockwood 300 where it can't even one-shot at chest level point blank. That's insane to me. That's absolutely absurd. And also on the ones like the Modern Warfare 3 shotguns, slug rounds aren't even that good because you're making such a huge trade-off having to be so accurate, but your one-shot kill range isn't even better than the base gun with spread. To me, it should be reversed, where you have a shotgun with slugs has a better one-shot kill range if you're hitting a chest level shot compared to pellets. That's just my opinion. I know, of course, headshots deal the damage it takes to one shot, but still, that's kind of ridiculous to expect just headshots for a one shot like that. So in my opinion, they need to touch slugs across the board, and so many shotguns still need love, but unfortunately, this is the best we're going to get. It's probably time to move on to Black Ops 6. They're probably not going to buff these shotguns anymore, so kind of a womp 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 moment. It took them this long, and it still really wasn't even enough, but hey, I'm at least glad to see they're doing something and they're trying. Maybe they're just being careful about it. Regardless, they could definitely use some more love. So that's my thoughts on this. Now, of course, as always, down below, I want to know in the comments, what do you guys think about this buff or these buffs? Do you think they were enough? Are you disagreeing with me? Or do you think, like me, that there just needs to be more love across the board and they need to touch more shotguns, specifically slug shotguns as well? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.